Salve Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. The Pharisees came forward and began to argue with Jesus, seeking from him a sign from heaven to test him. He sighed from the depths of his spirit and said, "Why does this generation seek a sign? Amen, I say to you, no sign will be given to this generation." Then he left them and got into the boat again and went off to the other shore. The Gospel of the Lord. Cain and Abel, very interesting story. Cain is the firstborn, Abel is the secondborn. And you'd think that the favor would go to Cain because he's the firstborn. However, there's a number of places in the scriptures where the firstborn is set aside for the next one in line. King David is a good example of that. So Cain, he brings his offering, the offerings from the soil. But it seems like he didn't give his best. On the other hand, Abel brings the best of his flock. And the Lord looks with favor on Abel. But on Cain, he did not look favorably on that offering that Cain gave. And Cain is crestfallen as the Lord speaks to him. And what you can see starting to happen here is Cain is getting jealous and he's becoming angry and he's holding a grudge because his offering isn't good enough and he actually knows it. If you do well, you can hold your head high, God says to him. But Cain didn't do well. He didn't give the first fruits. I was thinking about Valentine's Day today. Can you imagine a man walking into the house with wilted roses that this is enough for you, to his wife? Cain did not give the first fruits, which was what God wanted. And that seems to be implied in the text, that he should have been given first fruits, but that's not what he did. So in other words, now there's an incident of disobedience. Very similar to Adam and Eve, do not touch that tree. On the other hand, I want the first fruits of this. Disobedience on both parts. So Cain, however, has a chance to reconcile himself as we go through the text. He didn't give his first fruits. He knows it. And God is being very, very careful. If you did well, you can hold your head high. He's giving him a chance to come forward. But Cain is so fraught with anger and jealousy that he's not having it. He is missing the beauty of reconciliation, this reconciliation to God himself. God goes on with Cain, but if not, sin is a demon lurking at the door. There he is again, the snake. and he's following the snake. His urge toward you, he's talking about the demon now, his urge toward you, yet his urge is toward you, yet you can be his master. Isn't that interesting? We have the right and the equipment to have mastery over the evil one. It comes through the sacraments. It comes through obedience. It comes from the scriptures. All these things, except it's so easy for us to fall into the lineage of Cain because we can be weak. The thing that was missing with Cain, however, is when God says this, his urge toward you, yet you can be his master. This is the second offer of reconciliation that God gives Cain. So Cain kills Abel. He hasn't reconciled. He won't. And then God calls out, "Where's your brother?" "I don't know." Another lie. A lie, yet another lie, and yet he's given another chance, a third chance now, a third opportunity to reconcile. "You shall be banned from the soil." And if anyone tries to kill Cain, he will be avenged. That's very interesting. You see God's mercy coming out even for Cain. And so the Lord put a mark on Cain to preserve him. Another act of mercy. He's giving Cain a lot of slack. It made me wonder after I finished praying over all this stuff, it made me wonder that the story is kind of an open book. It doesn't, the scriptures don't tell you what the end point for Cain was. Did he go to hell? Or did he go to heaven? It's an interesting thing to speculate on. In hope for him, we would hope that he may have found his way to be reconciled with God at some point. But if he didn't, then he becomes an icon for us of what it is to be running away from God and not heeding his plan for our lives. But you see in all this, God's great mercy keeps coming, even for Cain. Amazing.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui atque meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.